Anaya? Sorry if I'm butchering your name.
No, I think we already had Ananya speak.
Okay. So Diana? Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Diana. I go to Maywood Center for Enriched Studies, and I'm thinking to apply to UC Irvine or UC San Diego.
Okay. And last, Roberto.
Roberto. All right.
Feel free to type it in the chat box if you're probably having audio issues. But just let us know your name, your grade, and the school you're coming from.
Did we miss anyone?
I think.
All right. Go ahead, Daisy. Let's go ahead and get started.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining us. Today we're going to, I'm going to share my screen now. No, you don't see it?
Yes.
You see it? Okay, great. So I'm going to be looking the other way because the other screen's on to my left. So bear with me, please. Oops, sorry. Okay, so guide to choosing college major. The table of contents for today include, first we're going to cover what is a major, then we're going to go into the importance of your major, when do you declare your major, and go into a little bit into the minors and double major, defining those for you guys too. So we know that choosing a major for college can be a little overwhelming because, well, for one, I think the idea of, you know, kind of knowing what you're going to do for the rest of your life at the age of 17, 18, it is intimidating. It is overwhelming. But have no fear because your choice of major, whatever you do decide to study in college, does not won't really determine where you land your career. And we're gonna go into, you know, some of the things that you kind of can get around, but then like there's a lot of ropes that you can go through. Obviously some careers do require specific majors, but some don't. So we're going to be going into that a little bit too. But with that being said, regardless of whatever you do study, you're going to be spending a lot of time with that one subject. So it's very important for you to really see yourself in this field because ultimately you want to do well in this major, minor, whatever it is, so that you do persist and eventually graduate from college. So a little quote is, don't do anything but let it produce joy. Again, you know, I think the idea of figuring out your life is, you know, so young in your lives, but it's okay for things to change. It's okay to, you know, having fears are valid, but also enjoy the ride.
Yes.
So Sandy, I'll let you start.
All right, so what is a major? So your major in college is your specialized area of study beyond general college requirements. So you'll also take a group of core courses in the subject of your choosing, such as chemistry, literature, political science. At some schools, you can even design your own major. So let's kind of break that down and talk about what that means exactly. So a lot of you guys, when you hear the word major, you connect it to a career. So for example, if you want to be a doctor, you probably, I'm sorry, my background's all loud. You're probably like, oh, I want to major in medicine or something like that. But how many of you guys actually know that there is no medicine major in college? And that if you want to be a doctor, that you'll actually be majoring, you can major in pretty much any subject you want to major in, as long as you take the core science classes that you need to go to medical school. So, and then in addition to your major that you choose in college, your first 2 years of college are actually just you working on what we call general ed requirements. And those requirements typically have nothing to do with your major. You are taking a bunch of classes, as we listed here, that are kind of similar to your A through G requirements, English, math, science, etc., but at the college level. And then you decide what your major is, and then you begin to take classes that are specific to your major. So I had mentioned earlier that my major was African American Studies. So in that, I took like beginning jazz, the history of Afrikaans, civil
Funk music.
yes, funk music, civil rights movement, like different courses like that. I will say that my major has little to do with anything that I do currently for work, but I got my degree. But we'll go into more detail about that. But does anybody have a question about what a major is exactly? All right.
Okay. So when do you declare a major? So like Sandra said, your first 2 years are really spent in college doing your GEs, which are your general education courses that all college students have to take, requirements to graduate. So really, once those so the thing is that although you're striving to complete those within the 2 years, you don't want to complete them all within the first 2 years, because then once you start focusing on your major, which is usually around the sophomore or junior year, which is your third year, you're going, if your major is demanding, which really everything is, because it depends, but you're taking anywhere from 3 to 4 or 5 classes. You don't want to overload yourself with the same topics. So saving some of those general education courses for maybe your junior and senior year will make your workload a little bit more light, and also it won't be as stressful, because those GEs can kind of serve as a break from just learning strictly what your major is. Although you probably will be passionate, hopefully, what your major is. It's nice to catch a little break and even learning about different things. So I would recommend that although you want to complete your GEs the first 2 years of your college career, save some, maybe like at least, no more than 4. That way you do want to make sure that you finish them on time. But just to have a little bit, of a difference, contrasting without just taking on your major classes. So some colleges, however, they do require you to go and apply with a major in mind. Usually those are the competitive ones, such as like nursing. If you're for sure definite, you want to do med school, then obviously you want to look into like a chem or a human bio major. So really look into it. But other than that, a lot of colleges will allow you to go in undecided. From my experience, I can tell you that I went in as a psychology major, without really knowing what it was. But I applied to UCLA and I got in. But once I did end up taking, I believe it was the introduction course, I was really struggling. It was something that it was not fitting for me. And so I changed my major. Actually, well, we'll go into it, but I changed my major 3 times in college. So, but we'll go into that a little bit later. So again, some of them don't require you to declare it, but most colleges, you should be declaring it by the end of your 2nd year, beginning of 3rd year. Because they're pushing you and you want to get out within 4 years, no more than 5 years. And really 2 years is enough to complete your coursework if you're handling business. If you're, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to just add a little bit to talking about schools who require you to declare a major and the schools that don't. If you are unsure about what your major is, or even if you're really sure, like some of you mentioned, you want to go into engineering and things like that, find out what type of school that you're applying to. And this is where doing research on the schools that you're applying to really comes in handy, because Sometimes it is actually better for you to go in undecided or undeclared just so you can get into the school, because sometimes your major will prevent you from getting into a school or not, or might help you. So for example, if you are an engineer major, but maybe in high school, your science and your math courses were like average, maybe not the greatest, maybe you didn't take any AP or honors courses, you probably want to go in as a different major or undeclared. Because more than likely, if you apply as an engineering major, that could probably prevent you from getting into the school at all. So it's very important that you do your research, understand the school, what their requirements are, kind of take a look at the test scores and average GPAs and stuff of the majors that they've accepted, the students that they've accepted into those majors previously, and see how you kind of weigh out to that and make that best decision. Because maybe when you're applying to UC Berkeley, you apply undeclared, but when you apply to Cal State Fullerton, you can apply for that engineering major. Things to think about.
Thank you for that. Additionally, so we've mentioned that, it's okay if you don't know your major. However, some majors are what they're called impacted majors, which means they're pretty much popular. Everyone's doing these majors. It's really hard to get into some classes. Priority goes to students who are either in their last year of college, who are athletes. There's just a waiting list. And so for that reason, if, for example, let's say it's your first semester, first quarter in college, and you take a GE and you're pretty fascinated with, I don't know, let's say philosophy, you can go ahead or even communications, because that's also an impacted major. You can go ahead and declare it early, so that you can be able to meet with the advisor of that department. Please do that. The minute you feel that you know what major you want to do, the process is that you do have to walk into that building, wherever the department is, and physically apply for that major, fill out paperwork and declare it. And then with that, you'll be able to meet with an advisor who's going to pretty much map out the rest of your college career and let you know what classes to take, when they are offered. Because something to keep in mind is, not every class is offered every semester or quarter. There are some classes that are only offered every fall, every winter, every spring. And so you want to keep that in mind when you're creating your schedule. And that's something that the advisors in college will definitely help you. They'll let you know these classes are going to be offered. And usually the classes that are offered, whenever they are offered, do not change. So it's something that the advisors are very aware of, they're knowledgeable about. So please, you want to make an appointment with a department advisor of that major you want to go into. Because if you fall behind, let's say you weren't able to get into that class, you can always, talk to the professor if they're willing to put you on the wait list. But you can base it off. Some professors are very adamant about their student, how many students they allow in the class. But usually, more or less, they're able to work with you. But for that reason, just be aware, of the requirements. Some majors do have more requirements, which means more classes than other majors. And so that way, we're going to go into, depending on how much time you have, you're able to pick up either minors or double majors. Does anybody have any questions on this? I know it's a lot of information. And it's just a matter of you, when you do go to college, asking questions, you have to advocate for yourselves and looking for the right people, because college, you're pretty much independent. You have to figure out yourselves. And so that's why, we're letting you know who the contact person is to go to when you are in these little dilemmas or struggles.
And please ask your questions, you guys, because just remember, you don't have a high school counselor in college that's putting your schedule together for you. Once you decide this is the major, it's kind of your job to figure out and make sure you're taking the right classes to graduate. So ask questions. There's no dumb question.
So I want a quick clarification. So let's say you have a major in mind, but you're not taking the required classes like right now in high school. So let's say apply for the college, you get in, but you apply as undecided, and then you can take the classes that you're interested in. Is that what you guys were saying earlier? That might have been really confusing. I might just confuse you guys, but.
So it depends. If you're obviously going for a STEM major, which is engineering, a science, chemistry major, in high school, you obviously want to be doing well in those classes, right? You want to be getting AP classes, definitely honors classes. You want to be, involving yourselves with either, there's MESA, robotics, whatever it is that within that STEM field. And I'm using STEM because I know that it's much more competitive. It is. And for that reason, you have to do well in high school. Your grades will matter, specifically in your math and your science classes. They will matter. Obviously, your English will too, but math and science, because essentially that's pretty much what you're going to be doing for the next 4 or 5 years in college. If, let's say, some colleges allow you to, let's say, enroll in engineering when you are, let's say, second semester in college. However, you want to look into what are the requirements. Let's say your first semester, they want you to be taking at least some kind of science, some kind of math class. So they can have something to fall on and be like, well, what's your reputation in these type of classes? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So, let's say I'm doing research in like the universities, and some universities don't have like the exact major that I want. They have like a similar one. Would it be like safe for me to like pick that similar major and not the exact one that I want? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, so every college does differ. You will actually find that Cal States actually have much more specific majors than that of UCs. However, let's say you want to go into, I don't know, public administration. There's no public administration, I believe. I can speak for UCLA major. However, you can go into economics, you can go into business, you can go into urban planning, urban policy. So you want to get familiar with, and it's an easy Google search. You can easily Google what to major in college if I want to be, and then whatever your career you want to be. That can kind of give you an idea of what majors you can look into. And then also you can compare on the websites of whatever colleges you're looking into in your majors. Compare the majors, see what classes are they relatable? Do you think they overlap? Are they similar? That way, that's one way you can see whether, even though this college doesn't have it, this is a major that's similar to what I'll be interested in this other school. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And a lot of schools will have the same major and just have different names. So like she used the public administration example. I was a public administration major, and some schools call it public policy and some schools call it public management. So you kind of just have to read the description. And this is where it kind of is important for you to know what you actually want to major in. Because if you're just picking something because somebody else told you to major in it, or you've heard people do it and you don't really know what the major is, then that could get a little confusing. But if you know what that public administration is, involving learning about the government, running the government, etc. No matter what the name of the subject is, when you read the description, you'll know, oh, this is what I want to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have questions before we move on? Go ahead.
I was kind of also confused about the whole undeclared and like switching your majors, but because I am like deciding between two majors, and it can be like either like psychology or political science because I want to be a lawyer. But I know that in like the top schools like UCs or like Ivy Leagues, it's like a popular major. So I was thinking of either going undeclared, but I also heard that I can go in as a different major that's like not everyone applies to. Which one would you recommend, like going undecided or just like switching to a completely new one?
I would say like I think history, but undecided really, just anything. It could be, just think about law and ethics, or you could look into, there's poli-sci, philosophy, because obviously it's insights, right? So definitely do your research and just see, because ultimately too, I know the law school, they have pretty intense requirements, but also it counts of, you're also going to have a chance to maybe volunteer in certain nonprofits or, other ways to build your resume. So like, let's say you don't specifically get the knowledge per se with your major, you get the skills by volunteering or finding an internship or something like that, working at a firm or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I should major similar and then switch into whatever it is that I actually want to do.
I think
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
What I would suggest, Danica, is just going undecided. Your first semester, take intro to psych and take intro to political science and see which one you like the most. And then you don't have to declare your major until your second year. So if you take both intro courses and you're kind of like, well, I like psych more than I like poly, but you kind of want to hold on to both of them, maybe you major in psych and minor in poly. Or if you're like, oh, I totally hate psych, I'm going with poly, then you'll know that from then on, you're going in the political science direction. And then when it's time to declare your major, you've been able to kind of make a sound decision.
Thank you.
No.
And I also wanted to stress that we talked about general education courses, GEs. A lot of the GEs are obviously prerequisites for these majors. And so it's kind of like you'll be able to double dip. You'll be satisfying your college requirement, but also satisfying your major requirement when you do decide on, let's say you want to go with poli-sci or psychology, whichever one it is. It's like a 2-in-1. There is a max on that. There's a cap, you can do that, but definitely the introduction courses are meant for that. So you can have an idea of, if you walk in undeclared, you have an idea of what you would like to study.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure, but Daisy did mention we both changed our majors 3 times. So you can definitely change your major.
You can. So then how to choose a major. Some things to consider, some factors are whether it's preparing you for your career, earning potential, something you enjoy doing. If you're undecided, how do you explore some interests that you may have so that can help you find the major that you would like to study. So for the career prep, obviously you want to pick a major that will prepare you for a specific career. Maybe you already know what you want to be, either a nurse or a physical therapist, web developer, engineer, lawyer. Before you declare, take a class or 2 in the field. Again, these are usually your introduction courses. To get a sense, check out the syllabus. Usually some professors, the syllabus could be available to you online. If not, you're always able to enroll in a class, get the syllabus. Usually professors do send out the syllabus before class begins because you're already expected to read on the first day of class. A syllabus is pretty much a contract, what tells you how the grade distribution, where you're going to be studying, reading, turning in assignments. So the syllabus really has a good breakdown of the class, what the class entails, and that really gives you an idea of what the class will look like. If it's something that you're not interested in, then obviously you can drop it and then pick up another class. I will say that you're able to, before you get a mark on your transcript, you're able to play around, not too much, right? Because you want to consider that if you're enrolling in too many classes and dropping and adding within the first 2 weeks of either the semester or the quarter, that's still time and work that, you know, you're kind of have to play catch up. However, I think it's good to know, like, the first week, play around with, you know, your schedule, see if you're enjoying these classes, whether you can commit or not. But also, you want to be ready for the coursework required for the career of your dreams. Obviously, some majors and, you know, are more demanding than others. But you know, nonetheless, it's still work. It's still essays. It's still, you know, studying, and you have to develop. You don't have these study skill habits. You're definitely gonna have to develop them to get you through college. Did you want to read the other one too, Sandy?
Yes, I'm sorry. I have some questions in the chat that I was answering.
Okay, that's fine. So earning your potential is worth considering. So college is a big investment, okay? And I say this because, you know, I know that the financial assets are there, that can kind of be a factor, but think of it as an investment. More so, we all come, I don't want to speak, but there is money, you know, whether the state or the school will give you. And if not, you know, loans, they're not bad as long as you are responsible with the money. If you don't need all the money, don't take out all the money. Have enough to pay for your classes, for your books. If they're offering you $5,000 in loans and you really only need $2,000 to cover whatever else is needed, then only take out the $2,000 or maybe $2,500 to have some leverage. You do not have to take out all the money. It's an investment. So definitely you want to look back in college and realize, like, okay, it was worth it. You know, I'm going to have a job, a career that's going, you know, I'm going to be able to pay back if I have to pay back. And that's what we say, it's an investment. You want to keep your quality of life in mind too. So that 6-figure salary may not be worth it if you're not happy at the office, right? So I don't know, I could say accounting. A lot of accountants do not like their job. And they usually study either economics or business administration in college. Just keep in mind, you know, really also consider what the career entails. Look into the pay. I mean, obviously, you want to do something that you love. And so the pay shouldn't, you know, really be a factor, but of course it's going to be a factor, especially if you want to consider living in California where the living wage is ridiculous. But it's just things to consider. So look at it for the earning potential. It's how much are you putting in and how much are you going to get out. Does anybody have questions on these?
So we had a few questions in the chat.
Okay.
So is pre-med a major, or how would I choose a major where I would still be taking all the classes I need before going to medical school?
So pre-med, it essentially, it is a major. However, it's pre-med and then biology, chemistry, psychobiology. It's not just pre-med. Obviously, every path of the medical field, you know, requires different training and different experience and knowledge and skills. And so you want to look into specifically, if you already know exactly whether you want to do radiology or, you know, the brain, neuroscience, whatever it is, what kind of surgeon, what is it specifically? Is it more human anatomy? Is it more, you kind of have to do their own research and see. That's why Google is good. You can always Google what major should I study in college to become, and whatever your career path is.
Yeah. For medical school, you kind of really want to get an idea of what type of doctor you want to be.
Yeah.
And go from there. So if you're looking more into sports medicine, then maybe you want to do kinesiology. Mm-hmm. If you're looking to do neurosurgeon, then, you know, human anatomy probably, or something with, I don't know, even know what you would do. But you want to definitely get an idea of what type of doctor you want to be, and then pick your major based on that. And then you also want to figure out what the requirements for medical school, specifically the medical school that you want to go to, are, and take those courses. There was another question that said about applying to nursing school at UCLA or UCI. Would you suggest going undeclared? Yes, I would. Honestly, with nursing school, if you're not going to like a private school or community college to get your RN license first and then transferring to get your BSN, you want to go in undeclared just so you can get into the school. But when you get into the school, you want to try to declare your nursing major as soon as possible, because you are likely going to be on a wait list for 1, 2, maybe even longer years. And I will tell you, especially at schools like UCLA and UCI that are #1 research institutions and are known for their nursing programs, you will have to be at the top of your class. Like, you will have to, whatever prerequisites they have for the nursing program, you will pretty much have to be a straight A student, because there is a wait list every single year for the nursing program. So just something to consider. If you do go into nursing, expect to graduate in a minimum of 6 years.
Yeah. Any other questions?
After I decide what type of doctor I want to be and then choose my major, how would I choose the classes after that? Would I sign up for those classes? And if I do sign up for those classes after that, how would I do that? Would I talk to someone or do that online?
Good question.
Great question.
So every major, like I said, has a department. What I mean is a department, you walk in, it's literally in a building, the department of biology. You walk in and there are advisors there. Advisors are counselors, like in high school. But these individuals are actually there. You want to make them your best friend. You want to make sure they know your name, they know your face. You want to meet with them at least once a month. You know, if you're struggling in a class, you want to communicate it with them. They are really, the difference is that in high school, the counselor looks for you, right? They're making sure you're handling business. In college, if you do not advocate for yourself, if you're not being proactive, you will not succeed. You have to, if you're shy, you need to get away from that. You need to start, start advocating for yourself. You want to talk to these people. And like I said, they literally will hand you the answers. They will tell you, these are the classes that you need. These are the terms are offered, the semester or quarter. These are the amount of units that you need. They will tell you whether or not you have space, time to pick up a minor or a double major. But usually the science majors, I would say, they're very demanding math majors. And so because of that, you're pretty much just working towards that one major. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
And then also asks about signing, like, how do you sign up for your classes? You will sign up online for your classes. You will be emailed a day and a time where you're supposed to get on the computer and register for your classes. And you guys, like, I don't know if any of you guys are like sneakerheads when like the new Jordans come out and you're like camping out for the new Jordans. You got to camp out for your classes. Like, when you have your day and time to register for classes, you need to be sitting in front of your computer with your little code for the class to get in and make sure you're ready to go. Because you're going right now in high school, there's maybe 2,200 kids on campus altogether. You're going to, most of you, be in an environment where there's 10, 20, 30,000 people on campus. And out of those 20,000, maybe 5,000 of them are freshmen, and you guys are all trying to get into this one English class. You got to be on top of your stuff. So you'll get a registration date and a time, and you'll be sitting in front of your computer. You'll type in a little code and pray that you get into the class. If not, you will likely be waitlisted. Mm-hmm. And then on the first day of class, you want to be the first person there, because the teacher usually gives like 5 extra spots or something. Mm-hmm. Class is full. And pretty much whoever's first come, first serve, you get the code and then you can get into the class. Mm-hmm. Not, then you have to try to get into a different class, or you just have to wait for the next semester or the next quarter to try to get into the class again. Mm-hmm. Your grades are important when it comes to registration in college. Your GPA, how you're doing, because that will affect your registration time and day. Those students who are on track and doing well and have the higher GPA, they will get the opportunity to register for classes first. Mm-hmm. If you are on the lower end of the scale, you will probably get your registration one of the last registration dates, which would almost guarantee that you'll never get into the classes that you need. So talk to your advisors, go talk to your departments, talk to anybody that will listen, that knows how to help you. Okay, does that make sense? I know that was a lot as well, but did that answer your question? Kajit, I believe that was your question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Another thing, do you want to do this one?
Yes.
Okay.
So another thing with your major and your minor, yes, you want to pick something that is going to make you some money and that is related to your career, but you also want to pick a subject that you love. Like, this is something you're going to be doing for the next 4 years of your life, or maybe even the rest of your life. So you want to make sure that it's something that you like even a little bit. Mm-hmm. Some students choose a major simply because they love the subject matter. If you love what you're studying, you're more likely to fully engage with your classes and college experience, and that can mean better grades and great relationships with others in your field. If your calling is philosophy, don't write it off just because you're not sure about graduate school or what the job market holds for philosophers. Many liberal arts majors provide students with critical thinking skills and writing abilities that are highly valued by employers. That is very true. Sometimes, guys, you're in the 12th grade, you might not have it, or some of you are in 9th grade. You might have no clue what you really want to do. Even when you get to college, it might still be kind of fuzzy, but you like English a lot. I had a friend who majored in English. She had a 4.0 GPA at UCLA, graduated magna cum laude, and all of that. And right now she actually works for UCLA. Sometimes those liberal arts majors or those artsy kind of majors leave more room for you to be able to do different things. So I was, like I said, African American Studies. I work for Grand Canyon University. Doesn't have anything necessarily to do with my major, but because I was so versatile and I had different experience in different things, I could kind of do whatever I want to do with my major. So don't be afraid to pick something you love. I know a lot of the times our friends and our families, they always tell us, you need to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, you need to do this because they make money and this and this and that. But if that's not what you want to do, don't do it. Please don't waste 4 years doing something somebody else told you to do, or doing something because you think it's going to make you money. Because trust me, if you hate it, you're going to hate it, regardless if you are a millionaire or not. Undecided, explore your interests. If you truly have no idea what you want to study, that's okay. Many schools don't require students to declare a major until sophomore year. That gives you 4 semesters to play the field. Make the most of any required general education courses. Choose ones that interest you. Talk to professors, advisors, department heads, and other students. Find an internship off campus or on campus. Explore your interests. Exploring your interests will help you find your best fit major and maybe even your ideal career. I don't know if some of you were on the last meeting we did, but we kind of talked about networking and getting out there and making new friends. Don't go to college and only speak to people you knew in high school or not talk to anyone at all. That will be like the worst thing ever and pointless because you could have just stayed home. The point of college is to network, meet new people, get new friends, get new experiences. If you have a friend that's like, let's go to Europe for the summer, I'll pay for it. Pack your bags and go to Europe for the summer because you have no idea what you might learn or might find out in Europe that will open your eyes or change your life completely. There's so much world out there, you guys. Please explore. Don't be basic and just focus on the 4 things that people have been telling you your whole life. There's so many more careers out there beyond being a doctor, a lawyer, or a nurse. So get out there, try new things. College is like the perfect place to try new things because it's like you're kind of grown, but then you have like the comfort of, but I'm in college, so people still will take care of you.
Yeah.
So explore, try new things, get involved, and then figure out what you want. And I'm gonna just be honest, most of you are gonna have to get a master's degree anyway. So your bachelor's degree is almost irrelevant at this point, but it's a stepping stone.
It's a big stepping stone, but definitely a master's degree is the way to go.
Right. Any questions, thoughts, comments? All right.
Okay. Can I change my mind? We kind of talked about this. Definitely. One of the most exciting aspects about college life is that it introduces you, how Sandra was saying, to new subjects, and fosters new passions. You might enter undergrad enjoying physics, but discover a love for political science. However, you want to keep this in mind. Every major has requisite coursework, which means some require you to take introductory courses before you move into more advanced courses. And you have to pass these classes with at least a C or better. If not, you can't move on. Also, some classes are offered in the fall, but not in the spring. How I mentioned, you want to check when the classes are offered. Are they offered only once in a while? How often? If you change your major late in the game, it may take you more than the traditional 4 years to earn your degree. Yes, that is true, but there is nothing wrong with that. You do not, I'll speak for myself, you do not want to rush through 4 years because that's really what, the dream is. They sell you 4 years to college and you move on. If it takes you 5 years, if it takes you 6 years, I would say 6 years. It also depends on your income. It depends. Everyone's circumstance is different. If you can only afford to go part-time, then you'll go part-time. If you're full-time and something happens, because life happens, you can take a break, whether it's a leave of absence, a medical leave. These are things that you do not plan, but life does happen, okay? Sometimes you can get an academic probation and it's a scary thing. And if, let's say you didn't, that wasn't a wake-up call yet, then they pretty much kick you out. You got to see whether you're able to go back in. So there's definitely, you can change it. I changed it right from psychology to sociology. And then I couldn't pass this class. I couldn't pass a statistics class. And that one statistics class was holding me back. And so I went into African-American majors with an emphasis in sociology. So again, my degree doesn't say sociology, a BA in sociology, right? But I know that I have an emphasis in sociology because all the classes that I did take for sociology, they didn't go to waste. I have enough knowledge that I can claim, okay, I do have an emphasis in this. So some majors will have an emphasis, whether it's business or whatever the emphasis is. You want to look into that too. And again, am I doing something with African American studies, or what even is that? What is that, right? Ultimately, it's ethnic studies, and it's pretty relevant today, if not more than ever, right? It teaches you tolerance. It teaches you how to be sensitive. It teaches you how to be interpersonal. It teaches you valid human skills. And so you want to get away from, and now I'm going to master's school, and I did take a break. Some might think it's a long break, but it worked for me. And now I know, okay, I'm in a master's program and I'm going to have a career when I get out in 2 years, So don't feel rushed. Do not feel rushed. Obviously, the schools want, they're pushing to get you out in 4 years so that, there's space for more students to be accepted. However, once you're in, enjoy it. Like travel, study abroad. Some of these majors, you're able to study abroad, and financial aid pays for it if you qualify. Even if it's introductory, take your GEs abroad. If you have to satisfy a foreign language, go to Spain.
Yes.
Learn Spanish, or whatever, French, go to France, or whatever it is. Take advantage of it.
Abroad, you can do some stuff where you just go out of state and study.
Yeah, or out of state. It could be in a different state. Universities, the beauty of it is they have connections with really a lot of universities around the nation and the world. Or even not, the professors from that one school will pretty much just go with you. You'll go live in Puerto Rico and you'll study the political science and sociology of the Caribbean.
Because she did that.
I did that, right? But then I was able to learn about the people there, the culture there, and also live in Puerto Rico for a month, all expenses paid. So you definitely can change your mind. Do not feel pressured. Obviously some do have their heart set, and it will be disappointing when you can't pass this one class and it's kind of stopping you from what you think your dreams are. That route might not work for you. Find a different path. Just because you might have to take a post-bac, right? After you get your BA, let's say you're like, okay, I didn't do so well. I do want to become a nurse, but I ended up being a history major. Well, I take a post-bac, so you pretty much end up taking some classes that would essentially give you the classes that you need to then apply to nursing school or whatever the case may be. Or you can start off at a community college, take your classes. It's cheaper. It's still good quality of education. And then transfer. It is more competitive. It is easier, not easier, but you do have a higher chance to get into a UC or a CSU straight shot from high school. But nonetheless, it's still possible. There's obviously a lot of students who are transfer students, and it's a good thing. Like I said, whatever your situation is, do not ever compare yourself in college to anyone. And I know and I speak from experience, it's very hard to do because you see people doing things that, that's kind of like the right way to do it, but it's not. It's their way they're doing it. And the beauty of college is that everything is individualized. As long as you put the work and the effort, you will have results and you will find a way. And also network, talk to people, because who knows, they can do so much for you. One, just talking about you with their experience, or two, they might know somebody who's offering money or whatever the case may be. So definitely, you definitely can change your mind. And trust me, the people there, they want you to graduate. It's not like they just want you here to waste your time. No, they want you to graduate. It matters because of graduation rates, right? And all the resources are there for you. You're essentially already paying for all of this in tuition. Your tuition pays for these advisors' salaries. These are people who are there to help you navigate throughout college.
We have two questions. Mm-hmm. One, is changing your major hard? And go ahead.
Okay. I would say it depends, but no, it's not hard. Like I said, you pretty much walk into the department, whatever department it is, you sit down, you make an appointment, you talk to the advisor and say, oh, I want to be this major. And literally you fill out paperwork. It's kind of like a contract where you see the classes you're going to take. And then that's pretty much it. You just fill out your name, your student ID number, email, just, your basic information. It's easier than, it's not a whole process about interviews and an application online. It's literally just going to the department and declaring a major. That's how easy it is.
And then how is the process of changing majors in a highly populated campus or highly impacted campus?
So it depends. I would definitely go into, like, for example, I know sociology was impacted, communications was impacted, and I speak from UCLA. But in general, some most majors are impacted because they're just popular majors. Just talk to somebody, because you don't know. I don't know what the process is. There might be a wait list. Or really they might look into, or they can advise you what classes to take now that maybe you can show up and be like, well, I already have these classes. Can I declare my major? Because like I said, some of your general education courses can be prerequisites for the major you intend on declaring. So it's easier when you say, oh, I already have these classes. I want to declare this major, right? And so they'll see that you already have been working towards that major. So it'll be, you'll have less, there's less work for you to do in that major. That makes sense.
And even at I'm sorry, like UCLA, it's like we said, we both went to UCLA and we changed our major 3 times. It's not hard. The only time it will be difficult is if you're trying to change into a major like nursing or engineering.
It wouldn't be practical, honestly.
Yeah.
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because these majors require 4 years of study. So if it's something, like in the College of Letters and Science majors, a liberal major, obviously it's easier than that of a STEM major.
All right. Those are only 2 questions. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay.
All right. Minors and double majors. If one field of study doesn't satisfy your intellectual appetite, consider a minor. A minor is similar to a major in that it's an area of academic concentration. The only difference is that a minor does not require as many classes. So let's say you want to be a psychologist, but you're like super passionate about dance. You can major in psychology and minor in dance. So that way you have your major that's going to lead you to your career path, make you money, do all that good stuff. But then you have your minor, which is just something that you're passionate about and piques your interest and you can learn more stuff about. So that's what minors are there for. Or sometimes you kind of just luck up and get a minor. So maybe you were a psychology major, but you also took a bunch of sociology classes for whatever reason. And you just realized that, hey, I have enough classes to be a social minor. Why not? So then that way you graduate with a major and a minor. And then double majors. Somewhat similar, except you're going to be doing double the work. A double major provides you with an understanding of 2 academic fields. It allows you to become familiar with 2 sets of values, views, and vocabularies. That said, it also requires you to fulfill 2 sets of requirements and take twice as many required classes. You won't have as many opportunities to experiment or take classes outside those 2 fields. So when you're thinking about a double major, you want to think about fields that kind of go hand in hand already, and that won't stress you out. So double majoring in nursing and engineering, would never suggest it to anyone. Double majoring in chemistry and statistics, would never suggest that to anyone, because you probably have 0 life outside of school and homework. But double majoring in English and sociology, that could be a good one. Double majoring in political science and, I don't know, something.
History.
Or history, that would be something that's doable. So don't go into college trying. You want to put your best foot forward always, but don't try to be that overachiever that's just gonna like take on the whole world and like just do all this stuff and like, I'm gonna be super involved, I'm gonna double major, I'm gonna have a minor, I'm gonna be the president of the school. You will burn yourself out. It is not the same as high school, you guys. It is not the same as high school. If you are that type of person and you are capable of doing all those things successfully, go for it. But don't stress yourself out trying to do the most because you think that's what you're supposed to be doing. One step at a time. We got a question. So if I'm thinking of majoring in either civil engineering or mathematics, economics, then would it be better to apply with the second option? So honestly, with either one of those, you have to be a strong math student. So it just really depends on what your current math skills look like. If you started in ninth grade in Algebra 1 and successfully aced it, and then you moved on to like Honors Algebra 2 or Trig or something, or AP Calc, AP Stats, I would say you could probably apply for either one of those majors. But if you started out ninth grade in Algebra 1, and then it's like you just went to Algebra 2 and then geometry and just followed the same track as everyone else, I wouldn't suggest applying to either one of those majors. Did that answer your question?
And I also want to say,
Yeah, thank you.
sorry. I also want to say that, let's say in your junior year discovered you have a passion for public policy or urban planning, things like that. Look into minors too, because you will have time. And let's say you're just focused on doing Chicano studies as your major. You can definitely pull up a minor in urban planning, public policy, and then that way you'll have something to fall on if you do want to pursue a career in those areas. And so that's the beauty of minors. I have a minor in education, and I knew I did not want to be a teacher, but I enjoy working with the youth, with children, and that in essence gave me the opportunity to get myself in the educational field and start working in schools and things like that, and then eventually just move myself with the skills you learn and the job. And that's another thing, if you're able to, I know someone who was a psych major and a minor in business, and now she's in the TV industry. Psychology, her major, has nothing to do with what she does now. However, business, more so or less, but it was really, her experience, her internships that she was able to get that really put her in the career that she was, interested in. And so this is why we say that do not think that your major locks you into your career. Unless, obviously you do want to become a doctor and stuff like that. But if it's something that, the more non-traditional majors, it won't lock you in, because experience does matter. Whatever the time you do, let's say you take time off between college and grad school, find yourself a job, whether it's an entry-level job, to get the experience, the qualities that you need to keep, going up the ladder in the career that you do aspire to be in.
Is it better if minors are related to your major, or can they be total opposites? If a minor would be more beneficial as a double.
Can you say it again? So do they have to be related?
Is it better if minors are related to your major, or can they be the total opposite?
So it's not that it's better, it just depends on what you want. Like I said, it could be total opposite, right? Psychology and business have nothing to do with each other. You could even say African American studies and education really have nothing. Well, not really, but again, you learn to talk to people, work with people. In education, you're working with kids, you're talking with people, adults, so you have to learn how to talk to people. It could be total opposite. There's, they won't look, well, minor does not depend on your major. That's what you're asking. You can literally walk into any department and be like, I want to be this minor. And if you have the time to do it after you take your GEs, and you do have, you're going to have enough time to complete your major, pick up a minor. It could be in anything. Like she said, dance and African American studies doesn't have nothing to do with it, or business or economics as a major and dance as a minor have nothing to do with it. But it's something that you enjoy, why not? That's the good thing about college. However, obviously, if you want to go into business and public administration, you can get a business major and a minor in urban planning. Whatever you have to kind of, once you're in college, you become you familiarize yourself with what fields, what education do you need to get into these careers. So it's whatever you do make of it, whether you want them to match up, I would say, or correlate with each other or not. They can be complete opposite. That's what's nice about college.
Yeah. As far as, if a minor would be more beneficial, how do you know if a minor would be more beneficial as a double major? It kind of just goes back to what she just said. If you have the time for something, then and you have room in your schedule to do a double major, you could do a double major. But if it's something like dance or writing or music, I wouldn't necessarily double major in that. Just make that a minor, take a few classes and move on. But if you're going into a field where it's pretty important for you to have these two areas of knowledge, then double major. But honestly, there's rarely a reason for you to double major outside of you just wanting to.
Honestly, yeah. I think it's best for my personal experience to get a major and a minor.
Yeah.
Because you want to have a social life, okay?
Yes.
Because even if you don't want to have one, if you think you just want to be all about school, like it's impossible. Like you can't. That just means that you won't talk to anyone. It's impossible. And honestly, like I said, college is an investment, but it's also like a social investment. It's your opportunity to get outside of your bubble and meet people from around the nation, around the world, learn different cultures, talk to different people, become tolerant. I mean, it's just a great experience. It really is. And so that's why, yes, your major does matter, but you don't want to make it to define your college experience. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Just go have fun, y'all.
Handle business.
We're a little over time, so let's go.
Yeah. I think we're kind of supposed to be done. Sorry. Yeah, that was it.
All right. So that is not any of our information, but I'm going to go ahead and put our email address, Instagram, and Facebook information in the chat. Are there any last questions?
I actually have another. My was, I don't know what college he went to, but he also went to community college. And I don't know if you can do that at like the UCs, but like, let's say if you can't afford some classes, because I know university is like really expensive, could you also take some like part-time classes in a community college, or would they not allow that?
They will allow that, but there's only a certain amount of units that you could take at the community college.
Yeah, I think I took, for example, I was satisfied one of my GEs with a class I had taken at community college, but I think it's no more than like 1 or 2 classes. It's very short because essentially you're not supposed to be enrolled in 2 colleges, like a major university and a community college at the same time. That's something you definitely want to talk to your academic counselor when you do get into college. And everyone does have academic counselors. They're usually based by last name, I believe. So there's a lot of people. There's your academic counselor, and then there's your advisor for your major. There's your advisor for your minor. And then if you're in a student support service, such as UCLA has the EAOP, the Early Outreach Academic Program, and you qualify and you're in it, you also have more people there to support you. Yeah. There's tons of people, there's tons of resources, and they're able to answer these questions for you. But definitely your academic counselor is your go-to person who's able to answer the more, general questions about college and what you can and can't do as far as coursework.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, guys, and we will be putting this presentation on our website. I just put the website in the chat. You can also follow us on Instagram. You can also email us if you have any other questions. Yes, we will be having more presentations. Our next one is going to be on financial aid. The date will be determined. But yeah, follow us on Instagram at _empowerment_zone to get more information. We will also be giving out a scholarship this year. So stay tuned.
Look for that.
All right. Thank you for joining us. If there's no more questions, then that is all.
Yeah, we hope we were of good service to you.
Yes. Based on the chats, we're getting all the love in the chat. So yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.